This is Stephanie Billingsley, and this is my speech on forgiveness.
Carlton Lance, videographer.
Preston Billingsley.
Carol Lance.
Macy Lindsay.
Karen Billingsley.
Randall Billingsley.
I would like to speak to you today about forgiveness. Oxford Dictionary defines forgiveness as to grant free pardon and give all claim of an account of an offense or a debt. Forgiveness is shown to us by Jesus going to the cross and is displayed to us throughout the Bible and commanded by God. There are many spiritual and health benefits that are associated with forgiveness. Some of the health benefits that are associated with forgiveness are healthier relationships, greater spiritual well-being, less stress, lower blood pressure, a lower risk of alcohol and drug use. It models good behavior for our children. It models God's love for us, and it helps us take back control of our life. I would like to touch on the part that talks about how it models good behavior for our children. I know of a person who has held in her life unforgiving thoughts and has not forgiven people for things that she has done. This person cannot understand why her children do exactly the same thing whenever she does something to them. And talking about this the other day with my mother, we were talking about it, and we discussed the fact that throughout their entire life it's been modeled to them that they should be unforgiving, that they should hold things against people. My brother, my sister, and I were not taught that. We were taught just the opposite. We had the examples modeled to us of very forgiving families, very forgiving parents. That's the difference between how we were raised and how these other children were raised. When something happens, we should forgive. We should release what that person has done to us. We should view forgiveness as Jesus did. When Jesus was on the cross dying, after he was persecuted and beaten, torn to pieces, and rejected by his own people, Jesus' words that he uttered to his Father were, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." He didn't tell God to come and to seek revenge upon him. He didn't tell God to hold against us everything that we did. He asked God to forgive us, saying we did not know what we were doing. We should choose not to dwell on what happened. We should get past it and release it. One of my favorite shows is called Medea Goes to Jail. The person of Medea is the matriarch of a family that lives in Atlanta, Georgia. This character is portrayed by Tyler Perry. Medea tells this person in the movie, Medea Goes to Jail, who is harping or holding in resentment towards someone that has wronged them in a way. I believe it was her husband that had had an affair on her. And she tells Medea, I cannot forgive him. I cannot forgive what he did to me. I cannot get past what he did to me. And Medea tells her, as the grandmother, the matriarch of the family, and she's seeking this counsel, Medea tells her, forgiveness is not for the person being forgiven. Forgiveness is for the forgiver. If you harp and dwell and hold in the things that this person has done to you, and you lose sleep over what this person has done to you, then you are allowing them control of your life. Most likely that person is lying in bed tonight, and they are not even given a second thought to what they have done to you. Medea also tells her to move on from the role as a victim and take control of your life. Get past what this person has done. When you allow that person, when you continue to be angry with that person, you allow that person complete control of your life. You allow that person to have power over your life that they should not have. Once you forgive that person, you need to move on from what has happened. You need to forget what has happened. The person that says, I can forgive, but I cannot forget, is only really saying, I cannot forgive. Because you have to forgive, you have to forget, you have to move on. Throughout the Bible, In addition to when Jesus was dying on the cross, there are many parables that are relayed to us that express what forgiveness is. One of my favorite parables in the Bible is the parable of Joseph. Joseph was loved very much by his father, and he had several brothers. His father gave him a coat for his birthday, and the brothers were very jealous of this gift that the father gave him. So the brothers got together and decided to, I guess, betray Joseph. They took him and threw him into a well. Not only did they throw him into a well, but then they sold him into slavery and told his father that he had died. Throughout what had happened, Joseph could have been angry. He could have been bitter. He could have held that against his brothers. But what Joseph did is he went and he actually acquired a position in the court of the land that he was living in. That position afforded him the opportunity later in life to save his brothers. There was a great famine in the land, and his brothers had no food. They came to the land. Joseph recognized his brothers. They did not recognize him. Joseph could have said, I'm not giving them any food. Look what they did to me. They separated me from my family. They separated me from my father who loved me greatly. But what Joseph did is Joseph gave his brothers food. He forgave them. And then he revealed to them who he was and said, bring your family here. Bring my father here. They brought them there, and they were able to live and survive because of that. To me, that is the greatest example, other than Jesus' example to us, of what forgiveness should be. Thank you for listening. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
My question is, what if the person, if you need to ask forgiveness from a person that has wronged you and that person is no longer alive, how do you handle that situation?
The way that I would handle that situation is there are actually many things that you could do. You could talk it out with a family friend or a relative. You can talk that out with your pastor. You could talk that out with a professional. One way that you could also do is to take a journal and write in that journal what this person's done to you, how you're feeling about what that person did to you, how it makes you feel that that person is no longer there to ask your forgiveness. You don't know if that person wanted your forgiveness or not. But again, like I said, the forgiveness is not for the person that you're forgiving. The forgiveness is for the person that is actually forgiving. And if you truly want peace and you truly want to get past what has happened, then you will make a way of being able to do that. You might even, if that person is passed, one thing that you might do is if that person is buried, go to that person's grave and tell them, look, I have forgiven you for what you did to me. That could be many ways. There are many, many ways that you can do that.
Thank you.
I got one. I just wanted to see how, I know I needed to forgive somebody, but in my heart, how can I go about, getting through that, forgiving them that way?
I would probably think of that. What has this person done to you that is so worse than what you may have done to somebody else? Or what has this person done to you that is worse than what you do on a daily basis to Jesus? Nothing that anyone has ever done to us is greater than us sending God's Son to the cross to die when he had absolutely no fault in his life whatsoever. So I would have to say, think about it. Think about what they've done. Why are you allowing them to have that control over your life? Why are you giving them that authority? Do they deserve it? Do they deserve that power? If you're speaking of a friend that has betrayed you or offended you, that anger that you hold towards that friend or that bitterness that you hold towards that friend is allowing them control over your life. They are controlling who you become. Your life should be defined by what you define it as, what you and God define it as, not defined by something that's happened to you. Any more? I want to thank you for listening to me and thank you for participating today.